Paintball nerd.
Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 1986. In 1999, he joined the paintball industry working for Velocity Paintball in San Diego. In 2003, he started trucking for DDay. He's also worked with Hormesis and Push. He's one of the founding fathers of modern day pirates. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Trucker Billy. Oh, yes. Yeah, you never go full nerd.
Oh, brother. Hey, I'm like the OG full nerd.
Dude, in all your posts, you're always like, never go full nerd, and it's a video of you doing something full nerd.
Exactly. I'm the role model for not what to be. Right.
You are a jack of many trades.
Yeah. It's important that you have skill sets, that makes up for a resilient human being.
Yeah, you can barbecue stuff, you can make stuff, you can drive most things with wheels.
Yes. I could probably fly, but I don't know if I trust myself. I like that edge, right? I like to be right there where it's a little sketchy. You shouldn't do that when you're flying.
A little dangerous.
Yeah. Love it all. Love being mobile.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
So what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, motorcycles, fishing, camping, hiking, archery,
paintball.
I know a little about that. I do know a little about paintball. Yeah.
So how did you get into paintball in '86?
Oh my God. So it was like twofold. It happened like really quick. It was, I saw something on TV and I don't even know what it was. It was like, and it was on like the news. It was some kind of news segment about paintball. And I was already, like a BB gun war, Army, laser tag kid. And then I saw this and I'm like, oh, I got to get into this. And then there was a prominent football player at the time, Jim McMahon, played for the Bears. He was their quarterback, won the Super Bowl. He does this commercial for this paintball gun. I don't remember what it was called. And it was like, oh, so I can actually go to the store and buy one of these things. And so got that on the Christmas list. It came in and it was a total POS, dude. Like,
what? What gun?
I don't even remember what this thing was called. I'd have to look up the pictures, but you could buy it at like what was called Kmart, Gemco, all those stores at the time, Fedco. And it shot these glops of paint, maybe 10 feet. And I really got where I could like flick it and you could actually get more out of it. But that was my first and most disappointing experience because, it was not at all what it was made up to be,
So it wasn't a paintball gun. It was a paint.
Yeah, it was presented as and sold as a paintball gun. I mean, 100% paintball marker, but it was plastic and didn't work worth a crap. And I wish I could even remember that. I want to say it was a gotcha or something like that, but I don't remember. And, I was a football nerd. So this guy presenting it, yeah, I want that, So long story short, I think I reconfigured it to shoot like short pencils or something like that. Made it pretty lethal. It was good. And then my uncle showed up and he was rocking dual, what were called 3.357s. And they were BB guns that were converted to 50 caliber paintball markers and ran on 12 grams. They look like I said, like, magnums. And he let me shoot one in the backyard. I'm like, all right, this is awesome. I want to do this. And right down the street from my mom's house was a place called Gramps and Grizzlies. It was a paintball store. I remember
that place.
They were actually one of the originators of Constant Air. And so I started walking down there every chance I got. And I was hanging out in the store all the time and couldn't afford a gun or anything. Didn't have a lot of money, but it was just absolutely enamored, just taken in with the whole experience. Like, I mean, this was, I don't know, like for a kid with an imagination who loved to play Army, and when the ball breaks on somebody and seeing that, like that was just like actually shooting somebody. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's where it was, right? And you're like, it just fed that,
We've talked about this before, but that's like the major difference between paintball and airsoft. Like when you sail a little plastic BB, over at someone, and it just like hits them. You don't have that visceral effect of like watching a paintball, like your paintball sail out of your barrel and like hit your opponent in the goggles and it paint everywhere. It's like this feeling that makes paintball way more exciting.
It is the most I mean, it's right. I mean, it's right there. I'm a hunter, you know, I've shot a lot of archery. I've done a lot of stuff, and it's right there with that moment. I mean, it's mimicking that situation, right? That really is, this is warfare. And they, you know, like we PC it with calling it markers and all that and everything, but it's a martial art. It really is. I mean, if you take it seriously, it's a lot of work to get good at this game, you know, especially at the level that these kids are playing at now. Oh my God. You know, like it's been awesome to be there to watch the whole thing evolve, because I was pretty early into the game. You know, I can't say that I was that coherent as a kid. Does that make sense? You know, I mean, I was just in the moment, like this was wow, holy shit. You know, because I was playing with like guys that were just back from Lebanon and Vietnam and shit. And we go up to Lake Arrowhead, and this was my very first like real game. So Lake Arrowhead, I want to say 1986, 20 on 20, 1-on-1. And it was like, I think the clock started at 8 a.m. and then we played till noon. And it was whoever had the most flags and was still alive, right? And it was just everybody for everybody. And I didn't see anybody for a good hour. And I was tucked into this little bush at the end of a dead tree that was just as tall as me. It was a huge laid down tree. And then the one guy that I remember, his name was Jesse, that was kind of got me into with his group, is the one who jumps up on the tree, and he's like looking like Predator and just looking around and shit, and just starts, he's moving towards me and moving toward, I've got this little 3.357 50 cal pointed right at his face, right? And I'm like, oh God, here we go. And he got maybe 8-10 feet away from me, and he's looking, and I give it to him, and he's wearing the UVEX shop goggles. Yeah. I shoot him in the cheek, and he goes flat back off the tree. And I look, and there's blood, and these things are hot and hard, right? You know, and like, I'm never doing this shit again. Oh my God, I killed my friend, you know, like, and like the game gets stopped. Guys come out, like, I didn't even know they were everywhere right around me, right? Like you had no idea where everybody was. Sneaky, right? In the woods. So then I actually sat out and watched the rest of the day. I couldn't even handle it. Like, it was so intense. But after that, I really started thinking about it, and it started maturing. I'm like, I need my own gun. I need to get like, you know, you find out a little about yourself after that kind of experience, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. And, but he was fine, and he wasn't mad at me or anything like that. But yeah, that was like, I still feel it. I mean, God, man, that was 35 years ago, and I can still feel that moment, you know, and that's what brings you back, you know?
Exactly. That's what makes the game so addicting. It's like, cause that feeling that you experience there when like you're right up on someone, they don't know that you're there and you're going to surprise them, that you don't get used to that you still get that rush, that excitement. So
yeah. I was just, you know, I'm a broken down old man, but I was just out playing hyperball this weekend, and it didn't look so good, but it felt good. It felt so good. You know? Like just going through the motions, going through the motions. You know.
What are your thoughts on how the game has evolved?
It's been awesome. I'm blown away. Like the contrast in the way people are even just presented the game. You know, I am seeing a little bit of a gap right now, whereas it's gotten very tournament centric, and then you do have your woods ball scenario guys that are very serious, but really like it seems like the weekend recreational player is kind of like just faded. Like, you know, when I got heavy, just before I got heavy into tournament, the weekend game was just a bunch of friends who got out and played all the time, right? And like, I got into tournament completely on accident. That wasn't even my mission. I would just want to go out and have fun and shoot people. And but the level of play that existed at the walk-on level was there. Like, I mean, these people could play paintball, right? And then now like, at least most of the fields I go to, the walk-on level isn't there anymore, right?
It's beginners.
I mean, you can't, like, if you're a high level player, you basically have to go play tournament to get that kind of skill set to be able to play against peers, right? You know, I've always had this thing, soldiers for soldiers, and I hate it when I go out on a field and I run some newbie's day. That's not my goal. You know, I want to keep this game going and promote it. So that's one of the things I'm seeing is we need to cross that bridge. We need to have fun, easy 3-man tournaments again. You know, I don't see much of that. It's like, even like Himmon's league is amazing, but that's almost like a national thing now, right? I mean, those D5 guys are getting it. I was watching some of that, you know. I mean, that's some intimidating stuff for these guys, these younger guys trying to figure it out. So I think we need some very focused, very, very for the newbie, you know, really, really dialed in.
A lot of fields, like they don't want tournament players there because they tend to create a bad experience for the newer player. And I think if a conversation was had around hey, you are here to set the example and make sure that people come back and play this sport, I think tournament players could be super beneficial for getting new players to stick around. It happened with me. I saw Davey Williamson when I was a young kid out there playing, and I'm like, and he talked to me, he gave me advice. He wasn't blowing people up, he was playing well, but like he set the example.
Yeah.
So I think we need to see more of that. I don't know if that's going to fix everything.
And that's it. The experienced players need to be the ambassadors. It's the only way it's going to work. You can't be going to the field just looking to blow everybody away, regardless of who they are. You need to look at that and help it along. We got to grow this thing, because that's something that I noticed and experienced a long time ago. Is like, my good day is a lot of people's bad day, right? Like, you're shooting a lot of people in some days and just having a lot of fun, but man, are they ever going to want to come back? Is this going to be an experience they want to try and get after again after that? So
yeah. You can't be yelling like "get out" and stuff like that. You got to be a gentleman.
Well, that stuff's fun too. That stuff's fun too. But keep it friendly. Like the tensions can rise on the field. That's for sure.
For sure.
Keep it friendly. Keep everybody coming back and having a good time. Yeah.
So how'd you get started with Velocity?
So I was only a pump player from when I started up till, I want to say 97, 98, right in there. I went in, because it's like every time I even saw or tried to experience any of the semi-automatic paintball markers, they would choke, they would break, they just weren't reliable. And if you were a decent pump player, you could get 6-8 balls out a second, and you were on target. So it was just it wasn't there yet. But then the Angel came along, and suddenly I'm getting getting beat down by these guys with these really fast short trigger pulls and lots of paint coming. I'm like, it became an arms race is the best way I could put it. Is like the electrics came in, and I was very slow to go into those. I tried to find the lightest, smallest gun I could that worked good. I tried all kinds of crazy stuff, mags and Indian Creek designs, and none of it ever ran worth a crap. So I finally ended up with an autococker, and like, you can't take one away from me now, even though I've played with all the electrics, I've done all that stuff. That's where I feel at home, right? Except for I have been shooting the new DSR mechanical a little, and that thing is, yeah.
I think it's badass.
I think I'm going to be getting one of them real soon. I like that. But
so Velocity. Did you start working at the store in Bonita or the field?
The store in Bonita, and then they opened the field, and I wasn't there for the opening day, but I was there for like the weekend after that, and I was there like every weekend for 5 years. It was, sometimes both Saturday and Sunday. And if I wasn't reffing, I was playing, and vice versa or whatever. Just it became home. Like, it was a good location, 20 minutes from the house. I lived in Lakeside. It was just up to 67, and I'd already had a good relationship with Daryl and Art and everybody who was part of it. Joe Atkins, who was there at the time as a kid, helping with everything. And yeah, that was a long time ago. 24 years, actually, just for the field, right?
Yeah. It's funny, dude. I remember when Velocity Paintball was San Diego Paintball.
Yeah. I think I made it up there once for that. Yeah.
And Hinman and his team, Sick and Twisted, used to practice there.
Yeah, those are my friends.
Yeah,
Charlie Ruby, and I think Doc, Rob Tagasu played on that team. I knew a lot of those guys. Yeah.
Do you remember a kid named Truman? He worked at San Diego Paintball in Spring Valley.
Not ringing a bell right off the top, but that was a long time ago. Sorry.
Yeah,
a lot of concussions ago.
When did you become a truck driver? Like, when did you get your Class C license?
Oh, well, anyways, so I went to work at Velocity because of the arms race. I was getting deals on guns and moving through them so fast. I was seriously buying a gun like every month, trying to figure out what worked for me. And that's how I ended up. I was in the store. Then they were like, well, you're jamming us up. We need help behind the counter. So get on this side. And now you know everything, right? Like, I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. And that's how that started, right? But
yeah.
So then becoming a truck driver, Another funny story. I lost my license when I was 17 years old for getting too many tickets, right? I owned the fastest production bike in the world at 16 years old and lived to tell the tale.
Which was a Hayabusa?
No, this was it was a 1987 900 Ninja. They 155 miles an hour out the door, and that was a long time ago, right? And I was a adrenaline junkie kid that just 17 tickets in a year and a half, license revoked. And so I didn't get my license back till I was 23 or 24. And I actually went in and got my Class A. And they're like, what? You're going from like being on a revoked license to becoming a commercial Class A driver. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I was a furniture mover at the time, and I rode shotgun, was the navigator. And the only way for me to improve my status, make more money, was to add the license to my, to my title and become the driver. And from there, and it quickly escalated from there. From there, I became a contractor, ended up with 3 or 4 trucks and had employees, and then realized I hated it and quit and just went and played paintball all the time.
And then Di picked you up.
Yeah. I was actually, I moved out of being on the workforce for 7 years, which is hard on the body, and moved into the sales force. That's why I got rid of the trucks and all that. And I was also, honestly, like, tournament paintball had become a big thing for me, and I was having fun with it. And I was getting asked to play with a lot of people. So it was fun. Like, it ended up absorbing a lot of my life, and I'm not mad about it, but it just all happened by accident. It was just like weird, serendipitous. Yeah. Like, I can't say that I got to do so much in paintball, and I can't say that I wasn't pursuing it. Right. It found me, and thank God. I mean, I wasn't exactly, like I said, I wasn't loving being a truck driver, moving furniture and shit, that, it paid the bills, and I loved the physical aspect of it, but it did tore the body down. It's, you gotta watch that stuff.
Yeah, man. I've been feeling kind of crispy. I'm almost 40. I'll be 40 in July. And it's like, I just remember not needing to stretch or any of that. And I remember never being sore. And it's like, it just gets you.
Yeah. Age is a real thing. Believe me.
But you are highly flexible. You can touch your toes and turn your wrist backwards.
I practice a lot of yoga and dynamic stretching, Qui-Gon, meditation, breathing exercises, hot, cold, doing everything I can to keep this thing going. I actually feel amazing considering, but I have to watch it. I mean, have to watch it.
Can't sit on the couch too hard.
No. Oh. That's just one of 1,000 ways I've almost died. Right. So I can't even make
for those that don't know, like, Billy sat on the couch too hard and like bruised his hip severely. Yeah.
You have what's called your sitting bone. And I landed on the wood frame of the couch so hard that I killed tissue deep up against the muscle, and it somehow became infected with flesh-eating bacteria. And 11 days in the hospital, open wound, had to heal from the inside out like that. So I was stuck in bed for 2 months, and a lot of rehab, and still hurts to this day. Apparently they say it could never stop hurting. So yeah, cool.
Jeez.
But I'm still here. I'm,
still alive,
still living, still doing it, man. Love it.
How do you deal with all your pains?
Like I said, honestly, like, a big part is mindset and proper diet and taking way better care of myself than I ever have. Like, a lot of the stuff I did was very self-destructive for a long time in my life. I drank a lot, not realizing the effect that has. I mean, that's the number one cause of a lot of autoimmune diseases for a lot of people, and they don't even know it. Your arthritis and stuff like that, the Crohn's. A couple beers jacks up your gut pretty quick. You got to watch it. And I mean, I'm not telling anybody not to drink or anything like that, but it's all, everything is moderation. Me now, I'll have a glass of wine or two every Thursday night, and that's it. That's the cap, right?
Because it's Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, pretty much. That's, it's a bonding time for me and the wife. We share a bottle and, just talk and catch up on the week, that kind of thing. So it's based off of an aspect of the Mediterranean diet. If anybody ever gets into blue zone diets, that's where people live to be over 100 years old. So if you want to know how to live to be over 100 years old, follow what these people are doing in these 5 regions of the world. Ta-da.
Simple, proven path. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it. It's there, right? So that's the kind of stuff I've been following and researching, and I'm very into. Like, I love it. It's people go, oh well, yeah. Ever since I started doing this, I feel great. And I'm like, no, you feel normal. That's what you're supposed to feel like, right? We just have no idea because we're so used to beating the crap out of ourselves. It's hilarious. But
how did modern day pirates start? MDP.
So I've done a lot of things. Like I said, I've mentioned all the different sports, hobbies, and everything, and those always have communities. And from each of those, I picked up a little bit from each community here and there, right? But really, the paintball community and the guys, especially like the guys I was playing with at the time and working on the crews with, being a road dog for Die, that run from like 99 to 2010, really, like, there was just this organic chemistry, like the kind of bond that you don't get from any other experience. It was really the best. And we started talking about it, and we're like, we got to figure out how to share this or let people learn how to plug into this. I mean, it's like trying to make lightning strike, but still, like, when you catch those moments, it's, I mean, we went from this organic, just super fun. Like, we were calling ourselves MDP because of a tattoo Rocky had gotten. And I'd always done the pirate thing. Like, pirate has been part of my life since I was a kid. Like, we ain't got time. And so we plug in like that. And then the next thing you know, within like 2 or 3 years, we're showing up at scenario games 60 to 120 strong. And we're turning, and we're not showing up with chumps. I mean, most of our guys are ex high level or pro tournament paintball players, or even if they're scenario guys, they're really good scenario guys, and so we would just seriously turn the tail on every field we stepped on. And we ended up the third faction where they would just use us as either we'd be playing against both, or we'd swing to one side or the other to keep the game balanced. And that was a fun time. It was just a big paintball party, right? And that was at CPX and the Legends events, DDay. Oh, so much fun.
Are you going to any scenarios this year?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have any plans as of yet. I'm going to Wasteland this year, which is not a paintball thing, but it's just something I like to do. It's a Mad Max kind of Burning Man type thing where everybody's really, yeah, exactly. And I am going to be at Cup. I don't know exactly in what context, but I have every intention of being there one way or the other. Probably doing something with Hormesis, and but I just want to get out. I love being there. That's, again, catching that lightning in a bottle, that magic moment. That's one of the places, for sure.
Well, let's talk about magic moments, right? Because our paintball is full of those magic moments. That's what keeps us going, whether you're gogging someone or it's off the field, setting up the booth. These magic moments are created. So pick a couple favorites. Give us a couple of your favorite memories that have been created from paintball. Some stories.
Jeez. I mean, there's so many. It's so hard. Like going back to, again, being a kid when I first got my own gun, and like, I didn't even pay for paint or 12 grams. Like, when I was first playing the first few years, because I lived in Alpine, which was next to Weekend Warriors paintball field. And I would just wait till they played all weekend. And then Monday morning, I'd be out there scavenging the field, and I would find 12 grams, 10 round tubes of paint, and I'd be set, And then half the time I didn't even pay to play at that field. I would just wait till they came out onto the field, played, and I'd sneak in with the solids, and then I'd just be in for the day and move in and out, and then sneak back out through the bushes back to my house.
So, dude, Weekend Warriors was the first place I ever played paintball.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I remember the dude used to take a little orange to do the goggle demonstration and shoot the orange. Like, this is harder than your eyeball, and so if it hits your eyeball, you're blind. I'm like, wow, that's aggressive.
Was there a shack at that time, or was he still using the bus? He used to have he had a bus that was the office, and it was all completely laced out with gear and everything. But
I don't remember a bus. I remember
they ended up with a shack and everything. But I mean, that place has gone through. It's been burned down twice, so it's been through a lot of changes since. But it's cool that it's still there. I love that. To me, 35 years later, and people are still playing paintball there. That's awesome. So
it creates lifelong If they have a good experience, it creates lifelong customers.
Yeah.
Enthusiasts.
Yeah. And again, it's what level people want to take it at, right? You know, if you just want to come out and play recreational paintball twice a year, I mean, as long as you're getting out and trying it and doing it, you know, it's just not everybody lives it, you know, but
yeah,
it is an awesome community if it's for you. That's no doubt.
Well, give me a story about you and Paxon blowing people up on scenario Ironman.
Oh my goodness, that's happened so many times. Tournament fields, scenario fields. One of my favorites was I don't even remember what year it was. The bottom right. Let me see this. This was that was Phoenix, I think 2010 or 12, somewhere in there. And they had an open class pump 5-man race to. And this team was thrown together by a friend. And I said, can Pax play with us? And oh yeah, of course, you know. And it was a team of all-stars, local SoCal pump players anyways. But the other teams we were playing against were very solid. And so it was me and Pax were just tearing people up and having a really good time on the field. And then we ended up winning the whole thing. And to win the thing, we ended up coming against the team that Blake Yarber was playing on the time. And I have so much respect for that kid. I love him to death. You know, he's one of my brothers. And he was like my nemesis at the time in the pump arena, because he was like the up and coming. Like every time I came up against him, it was, he's going to get me fast or I'm going to get him fast, you know? So we're always hunting each other. And I shot him on the barrel and he came out and I was just letting him know his barrel was sticking out. Right. And he's like, dude, I knew it was you. And we got it like that. Right. And he's such a straight player anyways. Right. But like a nick like that, the ref was never going to come in and call him on it, you know?
No.
But he knew it was there. And now he was at the 50 Dorito and just stitching my snake guy. And I'm like, God, I got to get this. And so that was a super cool one. And it was hot as shit out there. It was a really rough event, like 110 degrees. And, you know, the usual, all the stuff you go through for the battle. But we had some hard fought ones there and it was super fun. And then, oh my God, the scenarios playing tactical Ironman with all the guys. But yeah, Pax, he's a living, breathing cartoon character, right? So and just like such a monster on the paintball field. One year at DDay, we're playing and we're given this job to hold the church. And the church had never been held before. I think the longest they held it was like 20 minutes or something like that. We ended up talking with the locals and we learned the rules. And obviously, you know, you learn the rules, rubbing a race, and you figure out what works. And so we fortified this thing, like completely decked it out. We had bunkers all over the place, tarped everything off, put a parachute over the top so they couldn't throw grenades in. And I mean, full nerd, right? Yeah. Full nerd. And not only did we hold the church, we pushed them back out of the church into their start, 200-300 guys, and had them pinned against their start for a good like hour and a half. And then eventually this guy gets so frustrated and he comes over and he's standing on top of the mountain we're in and looks at Pax and calls him, I'll take you out to the tournament field. I'll jack you up, you woods ball faggot. Right. And so we're down in the trench and this guy's gunned down and like yelling at us. And then Pax stands up and he's almost looking him in the eye, even though he's on the trench. He's like, yeah, let's go. Your guys against mine, 1-on-1. What do you got? Let's go. Right. You know? And I'm like, yes, it's going to be so much fun. Here we go. It never happened. He backed down, but yeah, that was.
Yeah. He figured out who he was. He's like, oh,
okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it was one of many, dude. Yeah. That was
how Frazee always says, play like a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that when I play scenario paintball or like walk on paintball, that is the closest feeling I get to playing like a kid. Like you don't have a care in the world. You're out there with your buddies. You're getting dirty. There's this element of danger involved, right? It's the closest thing you can get. Paintball is the closest thing you can get to being a kid as an adult, I feel.
I mean, again, I guess it depends on upbringing or whatever, but like I was that Army kid. I wanted to play shoot 'em up all the time. And it just feeds that so much. And I love hunting and I love fishing. I love, self-reliance. And this is a big part of that. It feeds it. It's so good. I did a bunch of mixed martial arts. It's the only thing I consider even close. And this is better to me because you weren't incurring any damage, really. The only damage you're going to incur is if you're moving wrong and hurt yourself or not paying attention to your body, really. Maybe a couple of welts here and there. But
so earlier you talked about BB gun wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I used to do that too, and we didn't wear goggles or anything. And the rule was one pump, and you can't aim for the face. And then my mom found out because my neighbor had it, like, we were just standing there on his porch, and we had rifles, BB gun rifles, and he pointed at my toe. I'm like, don't do that. And he's like, it's not even loaded. And he pulled the trigger and BB'd my toe. So my mom found out about that because I was injured, and she's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, well, we're playing. We were first to start off with dirt clod wars, like throw dirt clods at each other. Like, let's get guns, let's get guns. And so we started playing BB gun wars, and that was my entry into paintball. So what was your rule with the BB gun wars?
The BB, you could wear whatever you wanted. Some guys wore the whole catcher's front thing, and then hockey mask. I wore it, like, for paintball. My first paintball game was in Ray-Ban wafer 2s with a towel wrapped around it. That was it, dude. Sunglasses and that paint would have blown right through my eyeball, like nothing. That stuff was so hard back then. But then, like, our BB gun wars, I actually had it was a hockey mask, but it wasn't even a real one. It was like the Halloween glow in the dark crap you could buy, just as costume. And then I wore some shop goggles over the top of that, and that was like my gear, right? That was my protective gear. And we, depending on who I was having the BB gun wars with, there were no rules, really. It was, here we go,
Dang.
And like with my brother, we had rules, no shooting in the face. But I felt bad for him because, like, he never had a decent gun, and like he'd be trying to shoot me with a Red Ryder, and I'd have this thing called a power shot, which is, one pump is the same as everybody else's 10. I'm on a scope. I remember one time he came around the corner and I could see his trigger finger. And so I shoot him in the trigger finger, and he's bleeding, and he's like, shit, right. And then next his foot's sticking out, and I shoot him in his foot, and all of a sudden he goes down and he's holding his foot. I'm like, oh no. So I go running down there, take the shoe off, and that BB, like, here's his toes. That thing landed like this and went up inside the skin and stopped just in front of his ankle. And I'm like, no, right. So I lance it out, pop it out. I'm like, this never happened. You don't say shit. Blah, blah, blah. Gave him the whole line. And he stuck to his word and never got back to the folks. And but that was the end of me and him having BB gun wars. Yeah.
And listeners, we are not condoning BB gun wars by any means. Just a part of history.
Like I said, I'm an example of what not to do. in a lot of cases.
So I have a controversial question for you.
Let's go.
Who's your favorite paintball player?
Ooh.
Of all time, Billy. Of all time.
Ooh. Well, then, so, like, to answer that question honestly, will be a guy that no one's ever even heard of. So here in the local scene, and I want to say I started running into him in the probably mid to late 90s, and his name is Ross Davis. I don't know if you know Ross or not, but he was a prominent old school pump player. I'd say he's probably 10, 15 years older than me. But this guy knows how to get lost. He is a crisp, just like one-shot killer, like gunfighter, and control the field, like steering kids and using people, telling them where to go and stuff, like, because he wasn't real mobile, doesn't move. And like I ran into him, like I said, mid-late 90s, and we played against each other up until he moved to Phoenix, maybe 2, 3, 5
You're
years
talking
ago.
about Roscoe.
Roscoe, yes.
I know Roscoe, dude. I played with him at Borderland. He was a killer.
That is my all-time favorite player. Dude, because not only like on the field, so much respect for the guy's game, because he will not cheat you and he will play you to death. Like the head game, everything is there, right? But then the on and off field human being.
Yeah. He was a general too. And I remember his voice. He'd call everyone gentlemen. Okay, gentlemen, let's go. Oh my gosh.
You got it.
And I remember we were playing on the Mounds field at Borderland, and he had his little Palmer's pump, right? And someone had a red dot sight sticking up over the mound, Roscoe put a paintball inside of it.
That's the guy. That was the guy. Like, I was locally, I was pretty well known, especially on the pump side. I could get down, right? He was the guy I was like, this is the guy I got to be better than. This guy gives me game. Like, he gave me game like no other, right? Like, but then again, like I said, just the person, wow. Just
he was a professor, right? Field.
He's everything, man. He was a military naval aviator. I think he flew Hueys. And then when he retired, he was working at the Aerospace Museum at Balboa Park. So I'd run into him there all the time. And it was just class act as a human being all the way around it. And
I would love to see him again, dude.
Yeah. He lives out in Phoenix now, I think. And we still talk online, but that's, little, hey, you every once in a while. So that's about it, but stud, absolute stud.
I have to agree with you. That's like, I mean, he certainly was an influential player for me as a young man starting out playing paintball. Like, he made a huge impact on me. He probably doesn't even know, dude. He probably doesn't remember me.
But just class act all the way around, right? And then if I was going to say, so when I was, I started, like I said, I got into the tournament scene pretty late. I've been playing 10, 12 years. And then all of a sudden I'm getting into the tournament scene around 99, 2000. And I started looking around at players, and like, standout guy to me was, Angel Fargoza. Like, dude, watching him play Snake 10-man completely recreated how you play the Snake, right? Like, the aggressive gunfighting skills. And then the thing, like, he's the original Snake God to me, right? And not only that, he wasn't one-dimensional. Like, he could play everywhere. I'd seen him jack people up down the deets. I'd seen him go up the middle, and he had a hard charge and could gunfight like no other, And so that was someone who I was trying to mimic, that kind of aggressive play. Because I played aggressively, but I didn't really know. I didn't have it honed or really know what I was trying to do. And that really helped me find the focus on that. And then on the other side, I would say Bob Long. Like, you want to talk about a guy who, like, not athletic by any means, but that stuff's supposed to be turned off. Sorry about that. Hope you're not hearing that. But God, the guy's field awareness and his ability to, like, see when something opens up and go down the middle of a field and shoot people in the side of the head, like none other. And when I saw that, like, those were the two people that I was trying to grab from and really, really gain my skills from. That I didn't really have that locally until moving into the tournament scene and starting to scrimmage against these guys, So yeah,
dude, Angel's incredible because everyone knew where he was going on the field, and they still couldn't stop him. And then when he got there, he killed everyone. So it's like, it was just one of those guys. It's like, how do you stop him? Like, what do we do against this guy?
Dude, I don't know what was in the water with that crew, right? Like, I mean, look at him still going, Alex, Oliver, Ryan, just, Yosh, Yosh has always been he's a standout player for me, like level-headed, clutch, finishing games, that kind of thing, like solid there. Like, I could name so many guys and talk about them, like Marcelo. Like, if I'm a current favorite hero, Marcelo Margot, man, I've gotten to watch that. I've got a front seat for that whole story, right?
Me too. Yeah.
I played with his dad and his brother. They were my homies. We got down, and like, his brother actually played on my team. We played a lot of paintball together. So, and then, like, I was probably one of the first guys that Tony Senior was like, show my kids some shit, So it's awesome to see what he's eclipsed anything I even thought was possible in paintball. I didn't, again, going back to that, dude, watching how it's changed,
what's funny too? It's like when we first met Marcelo, right? He was a child, but in that moment, you're not thinking, okay, this is going to be one of the greatest paintball players of all time. He's just one of the kids at the field.
Yeah.
So it's such a pleasure, right, to be part of this kid's journey.
I'm so happy for him, and just so, like, especially, like, I was there firsthand when his knee went, and then he had to do the rehab, and then he came back through the Russians and was just crushing souls. Like, I mean, I watched all that. Like, he's pushed through it. He's earned it. Kid's earned it, no doubt. I call him a kid. He's grown ass veteran of the game, 20 years now.
But the only reason that, like, Marcelo may not be the greatest player of all time is because Ryan, Alex, and Yosh are still playing paintball.
Like I said, I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what kind of voodoo those little fuckers are doing, but my God, man, it's the first person to ever bunker me was Fresh Eggs.
At Velocity?
2001, big field at Velocity. I'd never been bunkered in my life. I've been playing paintball 14 years. This little kid puts his barrel right on top of my head. Like,
so you're like, I'm going to this little TP bunker. Don't let anyone bunker me.
There was a God on the 50, you know, the field's like this. So you go up high and there's this God on the 50, you just shoot down into everybody. And it's easy make, right? Like I just truck into this thing, slide in my two homies. I'm just like, just shoot over the top so no one comes and gets me and I'll take care of the rest. I wasn't in there 30 seconds. I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, what was that? And he's just standing there like, and he didn't even have to go down. He just starts shooting him right over the top of me, right? And I'm like, oh no. Oh, so yeah. I got bunkered twice that year. The next one, I got it in the balls. It was really bad.
Oh, that's you can't have that.
The stuff we remember, right? You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're in your man cave there. You got awesome stuff on the wall. I'm sure you got some awesome stuff to show us, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, before we do that, Billy, is there any people that you'd like to thank?
The list goes on. You know, I could individuals, companies like Daryl and Denise, and everybody who's been involved with Velocity. They've been clutch and huge to me. I've had so many friends at all the different fields, local and around, you know, the CPX guys, Paul and Mike back in the day, you know, the CPX guy now, DJ, Hanu Fox running the Legends events. They've provided me with so much fun, you know, all my experiences with DDay. And, you know, that's where I met you. I mean, I remember our conversation at Cup in the VIP booth, you know, in 2003. So, you know, you're like, so you're going to go after the pro thing and everything. I'm like, no, man, I'm old and broken. I want to do this amateur thing and I want to jack people up. Next year, I'm accidentally in the pro division. I'm like, son of a bitch. You know, here we go. So yeah, man, all of it, you know, like I said, I've been part of a lot of communities and none of them have ever touched me or been so fulfilling as this one. Next
well, I want to see some of your cool stuff, and I also want to thank some sponsors. And this is how the show can be supported. First of all, is Lumi Gummies. Go to lumigummies.com and use Paintball Nerd at checkout. You'll get 20% off your first order and 10% off future orders. You know, it's awesome when you're old like me and you're sore after a day of paintball. Lumi Gummies can really help out. 21 and older, so don't try anything sneaky. Next is Paintball Retro. If you want some awesome retro JT stuff and other cool retro gear, go to paintballretro.com and click the link in the description. That way they know that I sent you there. That helps out the show, and I'd really appreciate it. And then finally, the revitalization of print. Gap Magazine, Great American Paintball Magazine. Click the link in the description to sign up. It's huge. It's full color. It's got tons of articles I've contributed. So please check that out.
I ordered mine.
Everyone should order.
I'm anticipating, waiting patiently. Can't wait.
They should be shipping this week. If you want to sell Gap Magazine at your store, send an email to sales.zyzek@gmail.com and I will get them into your store.
There you go.
Cool. So Billy, what cool stuff do you have to show us?
Okay, let's see. We'll go with my oldest piece of paintball nostalgia that I own is just this little patch right here.
Brass Eagle, that's tight.
Brass Eagle, and people think Kmart, Walmart plastic guns, and they don't understand. In 1988, when I got my Nightmare Ninja comp 60, that long barrel, it looked like a over-under pump action shotgun with a stick feed on it, and that was made by a couple of drunk Canadian guys, and it shot amazing. Like almost all brass, a little bit of aluminum, and you couldn't even chrono or change the chrono with it. No one really talked about chrono back then. It was just like, yeah, it's shooting pretty good. You know, yeah, this looks good, you know. And if you really wanted to try and change any velocity stuff, you had to actually literally take it apart and change springs and change these little plates, these weighted plates and stuff. And people came up with modifications later, but I had actually moved on to a newer gun. So yeah, a Bushmaster Line SI. Yeah.
So what happened to Brass Eagle? Like they were this premier company, and then they became a Walmart brand, and then they made the Rainmaker and those bad goggles.
Well, what happened was corporate America, we're going to say anything, right? You know, like they got bought out, the guys sold out, and the people who bought them took it the line of, we need to make the cheapest, most affordable paintball gear in the world to get people playing. And if anything, it did. How many people owned a Shark or
Talon.
Whatever the Talon, all those cheap plastic guns? I mean, I had buddies I introduced in the late 90s, and that's what they were playing with. You know, they didn't want to spend a bunch of money to learn how to play the game or get involved, or $100, $120, and they were shooting at me. I was shooting at them. So, you know, it was fine. It was cool. You know, and those things actually, for the money, they work. And if I remember correctly, on the Rainmaker, I think that was actually developed by a guy in England, and they just bought the rights because they were trying to get in the electric market. You know, they saw what was going on with Angel at the time, and they wanted a piece of that. And Angel hadn't really entered the US market yet. So they were trying to be first to market, is at least the best vibe I got on it at the time. I don't know. I was into the electric guns. But I wasn't too deep into it. Ended up shooting Angels for several years, but yeah, can't say they were the greatest. They worked.
I mean, yeah, the Angels were good, but like,
yeah.
So Angels were great, but when the Intimidator became a thing, it kind of like,
yeah, the 3-tube design, like, just, it wasn't necessary anymore. I mean, you could say the same thing. I was a big Excalibur fan, the Acclamp brand, you know, and I love that gun, but it was heavy and it had 3 tubes. It just, the arms race was moving fast. The guns were getting lighter and faster quick, so you had to keep up, you know. That's why I was so thankful for the DM line to come along. Oh my. Oh.
Dude, the original DM4 shot so freaking good too, because it was like nothing shot like the original huge Matrix, you know. But when they shrunk down that and put it into DM4, it was pretty damn close.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those guns were nasty.
Yeah. Loved them. That first Matrix, I got one of the first ones from Diablo here in San Diego with the pewter grips on it. And I remember going out to Velocity and playing with it. I was using a Pure Energy 6845, and I was lucky if I could kill my Halo in 4 pods on a 68 45 with that gun. But it went out on a high volume, low pressure blanket of air that just sailed, man, and it went straight and flat for a long way. You know, very cool gun.
First time I shot one, I was like, this thing's shooting low, because it felt like it was just kind of whispering,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
And then I chronoed it. It was shooting hot. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest gun ever. Too bad it weighs 100 pounds, you know?
Well, that was the time. Again, we keep talking about this, watching what's happened over the decades, and it's amazing. Like, a $300 gun today is next level compared to anything I touched 25, 30 years ago, you know,
lights out.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas 2016, I jumped in on that 10-man team, pulled a Die-Rise Max out of the box, straight onto the field. We got second or third, I think. And I shot so many people with that gun. It was so good. And I mean, that's a $300 gun, right? You know? So, yeah. And I think I shot the factory barrel that came with the thing. And I like threw a rotor on it and threw a tank on it. And here we go. And it was good. And that's awesome. Because like, I can't tell you how many days were ruined by bringing a gun that I thought was ready to rock back in when I was first transitioning over into the semi-auto realm, bringing an auto cocker or an Indian Creek or whatever it was that was supposed to be ready to rock, and have gun problems all day long. Then you go to your backup and you're having gun problems all day long. And that is a thing of the past, you know, really, unless you're really screwing something up. So
I used to give teammates, you know, like some gaff about like, you don't clean your gun, like you don't take it out and lube it. Cause I was a tinkerer. I would always, like, after every day of play, I'd take it out, clean it, all that. But like guns these days, you don't even really need to do that. Like, I've never changed O-rings on my M170 ever. I did have a leak this past weekend, but then I just took out the bolt kit and wiped it off and re-lubed it, and it stopped leaking. It's like they're incredibly durable.
Yeah, I want to say since about 2004, 2005, about the DM had some struggles with O-rings at first, but they worked it out by 5 really quick. And like, I mean, seriously, I got to the point where I would just sell a gun and get a new one before I'd bother maintaining it because they'd last so long.
Yeah.
It was seriously that bad. And I mean, also I had access, right? But it was, yeah, this one's dirty.
I know. Do you have any other cool stuff you want to show off?
What else? Oh, going back to the scenario days and all that stuff, D-Day. This was very cool. That was my magazine cover. Is that on there?
APG.
Can you see it? Yeah, this way. There you go. So, we got into the tactical airmen, and we were doing the scenario stuff very heavy. We were at D-Day, and D-Day was always on my birthday, and this was on my 40th birthday, and I was a little, I don't know, I wasn't super comfortable or happy with the fact that I was spending my 40th birthday out in the middle of nowhere. Even though I love paintball and all that, I was just ready for a change. Yeah. But Dave Pando, Rocky, Wes, MB, they surprised me with this. Got me this magazine cover I didn't even know about, And at the time, we were blowing up the die, and I was one of the dam, and I was one of the poster children for that, so it all fit. But like, that was kind of a cool thing that I never expected, or again, like, so much of my paintball life is just so serendipitous and stuff I never would have expected or even saw coming. And it was so cool, like being on the tour with Oliver, talking to him, he's your age, generation behind me, and like, he actually, as a kid, set a goal to be a professional paintball player. And not only that, to be the best in the world. Like, for me, when I was in 86, 88, like, that wasn't even a conceivable, or I'm going out in the woods with a bunch of crazy old vets and we're shooting at each other. Again, that maturity, watching the game change, the contrast in generations, and where it comes from and where it goes. It's been awesome. It's been amazing.
Well, when you started, there wasn't such thing as like pros at that level. Like, it wasn't.
Not necessarily. Yeah. I remember one time I kind of played a tournament at Weekend Warriors. I showed up just to play. One of the few times I showed up to pay to play. And they're like, well, you really can't, because we're having an event and it's for teams only. And I was like, okay, I guess I won't play today. And then one of the teams is like, well, some of our guys haven't showed up. We need some guys, so you can jump in with us. And this was 15 on 15, and there was 4 teams, and they played for an hour each match. Right. And I remember the first game, we're supposed to have 15 guys. I think we had like 12, 11. And they're like, so we're all going to go up this side. We're going to go up and shoot them all. And we're going to come back with the flag. You just sit here and watch our flag. I'm like, all right. So here I am with my new pump action brass eagle Nightmare Ninja. And I sit like probably 20, 30 feet off the flag in a bush. And I'm just waiting. I'm on guard duty. And I hear something coming. I'm like, oh, they're coming back. It's been like maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And one guy, and then it's another guy, and then it's another guy. And like, they're just appearing out of the bushes. And there's like 5 guys. And I'm like, these aren't my guys. All right, here we go. I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I just started going. I think I got maybe 2 or 3 before it was everywhere. And my guys had gone and they'd gotten shot up in like the first 5 or 10 minutes. It just took them that long to work their way down the field and actually get to the base. But that was my first experience with that whole thing. And I was like, what in the hell just happened? Right. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. And I got to shoot a couple people, but it was, again, talk about your heart racing. You see all these guys showing up and, oh, is he in range? Can I hit that? I got all these tree branches hanging over and everything. It's so,
and there's 5 of them.
Yeah. There's 5 of them at once. And I know there's another 10 or something back there, who knows, and that I can't see yet, so yeah. Yeah. And then we played 2 more. I don't even remember the other games after that. Played 2 or 3 more games after that, but it was a fun day, but that was my only entry into any kind of tournament type thing back then. And I don't even know what that was. That it was just something they were doing that day. Right. So.
Billy, you've been involved with Die, Push, now Hormesis. You do the one-on-one tour. I don't think people understand how labor intensive it is to set up an event.
Yeah. I mean, for Die back in the day, especially when we were really rolling, we'll say 2003 all the way up in 12, 14, we had 2 truck setups, 3 truck setups.
Yeah.
3
truck setups.
3 truck setups plus a 30 by 60 tent for sales and VIP area, and I've set up whole shooting ranges. When we did the dam, I built a shooting range behind the booth. But yeah,
you built a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't you build the tower? The reffing tower.
Oh yeah, yeah. Built the ref chair. Yeah. Rather proud of that one. Came out nice. It was a lot of inspiration on there. I was so fun being part of that one-on-one tour. It was a paintball nerd stream. You know, I'm traveling the country on a summer mission to promote something we love, you know, and like Oliver had a vision and he was very true. I mean, it was very clear and very obvious that this is all out of love, you know, like, and I love that, just the love of the game, you know. It was, he had it in him so much that he had to share it, you know.
Yeah.
And I whether it was a giant practice in self-indulgence or it was an incredible living piece of artwork, I'll take it. It was all great. Like it was all awesome, you know, so I'll take it. I can't say enough about that whole experience. It was like a victory tour for me, especially all the time spent on the road as a road dog for DDay, you know, and doing stuff for other vendors and other companies at times. I've been involved in the backside a lot, you know, and I love that. I like, you know, like as a kid, I grew up in church. My grandfather was the pastor and we would put on plays and stuff like that. And yeah, sometimes I'd act, but I loved building the sets. I loved working the sound. I loved making it happen. I loved the backside, making it happen. And like seeing the smiles on people's faces, like nothing better than once you got a really nice booth set up or you've helped set up an event and they go walking through the gallery and down the throwaways and see all these people just jazzed out of their mind to be there and experiencing that, you know, that lightning in a bottle, you know.
Yeah.
Giving people being in the present is like the key to happiness in life and contentment. And that puts them there, you know, it's one of those things. So yeah.
What are you most thankful for paintball's given you?
Dude. Like I said, so many communities I've been part of, but none do I have so many people that I consider friends and family, you know, like never in my life did I think I'd end up best friends with Matthew Schuster and Rocky Cagnoni, right? You know, these nerds, right? Like, you know, no idea, you know, and playing on teams with them and all of it, man. Like watching Chris's journey, Chris Williamson, you know, like he was a gun tech, 16-year-old gun tech at Velocity Paintball. And now he is the GM. He runs the show at DDay Precision, you know, like that. All of this has been so amazing. Like I can't even, there's no way I can bottle it up or keep it in one little quick quirk.
You'd have to write an essay.
And I'm good for that. I'll work on that, you know, but yeah, man, I mean, it's like, it's all been so surreal and it's like, it's our own imaginary world, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I call it LARPing, you know, it's a form of LARPing, you know, whether you like it or not, you know, and like it or not, the airsoft nerds are your cousins. They're your brothers, you know,
sure
like it or not, you know, so embrace that stuff. We're all part of the same desire there. It's just manifesting in different ways. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, Billy, always a pleasure. I appreciate your time here. Is there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
Yeah, just get out and play. And like you were saying, you know, play like a kid, have fun with it. That's the biggest thing to me, you know, like a good day of walk on paintball with your friends. There's nothing like it. Like I've done all the stuff and there's not all the tournaments. I've played every type of paintball there is. I mean, that's one thing I am is like, as far as cross genre, right? Like, I mean, scenario, tournament, pump, mechanical, electric, like take your pick. And I don't care what kind you want to play. It's all fun. And that's the beautiful thing about this is there's so many games that exist in the game, you know?
Yeah.
And it gives you purpose and it gives you something to get better at. And everybody needs that.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you, Billy.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.